I'm Tabitha Rock.
And I'm Sam Davenport.
Born and bred in Melbourne, we live and breathe property, and we know the Melbourne market like the back of our hand. We've both been buying and selling real estate in Metro Melbourne for over 2 decades combined, and we've learned a few lessons along the way. Okay, we're back. Sam Davenport. I almost said Samuel Davenport, but that will confuse the people. But back to the Property Culture Podcast.
Here we are.
And we have a very, well, I was going to say dry, but it's actually super important episode because I feel like every man and their dog's a buyer's advocate at the moment, buyer's agent. Whether you bought one property, bought none, or bought 50, you reckon you're the right person to do it for other people and charge them 50 grand, whatever it may be. So, and it's funny, the other day I had a mortgage broker that we work with say, "Oh, have you heard of this advocate?" I go, and he's an ex-selling agent himself. And I was like, no, I haven't. Like, where do they work? How long have they been in the game?
Yeah. What were they doing before that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, God.
How many properties have they transacted for clients?
Yep.
For themselves?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I don't know how I came across this, but Consumer Affairs on their website have a bunch of questions that they recommend you ask your buyer's agent to verify that they're good, bad, or indifferent. And I read through them and I thought these are actually quite good, a lot of them, because it just, you can't fluff this. And the first one to get us started is, how long have you been a licensed estate agent? And I think this is really important because it does show time in the game to a certain degree. I think we have flagged before that unfortunately there is a buyer's agent coaching system in Sydney that sort of tricks the system, gets their license up there, and then they can transfer it down here, because if you get it directly in Victoria, you do need to work under a licensed real estate for 12 months. But this sort of buyer's agent coaching platform bypasses that. But jump onto Consumer Affairs with any of the advocates you're interviewing and see how long they have been a licensed estate agent. Like, I just went to my name, looked it up, December 2018. So every agent should have their details in there, and then you can see like who their employers are and all that sort of stuff, or look up the companies and see all the staff that are within the companies. But I think that's a really good one, a good question to, or don't even ask them, just look up their name, because that might be a bit weird and they might be able to fluff around dates. And the next one is, how long have they been acting as a buyer's agent? Because obviously if you're a licensed real estate agent, you could have been a selling agent for a long time. Yeah. But how long have you been a buyer's agent?
Yeah, exactly.
Sam, tell the people.
8 years.
Yeah.
8 years. And I always say to people, and prior to that I was a selling agent also for 8 years. And then there was obviously a child that got birthed in between those two things. So I've been in the industry for a long time.
Yeah.
And that's what I was actually going to say is, licensed estate agent, like I remember I got mine obviously sort of towards the start of prop culture, but obviously I operated as a selling agent standalone by myself at Biggin & Scott without being a licensed estate agent. So just having had obviously my agent's rep.
Yes.
And so then doing the licensed estate agent thing, I think I must have done that in COVID, because I remember when I was doing it and it was definitely COVID vibes.
Yeah. So obviously,
lockdown.
If they're a buyer's agent and they're standalone, they have their own company, they need to be licensed. But if they're an employee within that buyer's agency firm, they just need to have their agent's rep to be able to operate as a buyer's agent. But I just think it is good and interesting to have that information, because you can't fake time in the game.
No.
And I think time in the game gives you the runs on the ball, gives you the experience. I mean, we often laugh about how we've been involved in bloody thousands and thousands of transactions and we're still getting some curly ones. So like,
totally.
And I often say to people, remember your day one in your industry, whatever that is, like lawyer, marketing, you didn't have all the answers to all the questions, but after 15 years in the game of whatever your profession is, do you know a lot more than you did in day one? Well, that's us like fast tracking your experience in real estate.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think time in the game necessarily means a better negotiator or better at their job.
Anything,
No, I definitely don't think that that's what I'm saying, but I just think that it does account for something and should be like put into the mix of when we're choosing someone. Because I recently was interviewed or like shopped against another advocate that has been a selling agent for 30 years. And I'm like, that doesn't make him better than me. Like, yes, I need some runs on the board and some experience. Yeah, sometimes they've got no tenacity.
Yeah.
Like, I'm hungry. I'm out here like just
sometimes they're rolling around like they've just had a 3-course meal and they're like,
they've had a couple of reds
do
at
I
lunch.
Want a dinner mint? Maybe. You know, like they're just
with
not
my
really.
handkerchief. Yeah. That is such a stereotype. No, we take that back.
But generally whoever's been in the industry for 30 years is generally an older male.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah, and it was. And so I was like, go with the 30 years of experience because that's going to be, you know, the differentiator. But we're probably not the right fit if that's what you're looking at. But
but before, if you're looking to choose a buyer's agent and you're going to interview multiple people, like you do want to understand obviously where you're at with it. Like, what is it that you need? What are you missing in your purchasing process? Are you missing someone to close the deal for you because you just seem to be finding the right properties that you want to buy and they seem to be selling under budget, but you're just not able to close it? Like, you need someone who's like a specific negotiator or someone who's going to bid for you at auction, or are you unable to find something that you want to buy altogether? Or maybe you're seeing that your property type that you want to buy is going really far above your budget. Like, you need help in different areas there.
Yeah.
And so having these conversations with people before you engage with them, I mean, like you say, there are thousands of buyers advocates now. It actually blows my mind how many there are. I love it. I love it for us because we have now been in the game for quite a while.
Oh, and it's bringing awareness to our industry, good, bad, or indifferent.
And I think as I've always said, that we will always, generally speaking, hopefully not in all ways, emulate America in so many ways, particularly in doing business not in all ways. But the way in which they run real estate transactions is with a selling agent and a buyer's agent. It's the two agents who will be dealing with each other like two lawyers in a courtroom. So, yes, sometimes you'll get someone who represents themselves, but generally speaking, they engage a professional to do the transaction for them. And understanding how long that person has been in the game is a key factor to just understanding that they've got the experience that they need. Like, how many buyers have they successfully helped buy property?
Yeah.
That's a great question to ask. You don't need to delve too much further into that question, but just gives you an idea. Because if you are sitting with someone who really has just started, you should know that. So then you can ask new questions that are going to help you feel either comfortable with them to proceed, or maybe you decide against going with them and choosing someone with more experience or who have more runs on the board.
And I think a lot of companies are trying to help the consumer understand how many transactions an advocate has been involved with review platforms. Like mortgage brokers have now started having review platforms, and obviously agents now, and they're the top selling with Rate My Agent and things. So I think because it is a little murky. I mean, I can sit here and say I've helped 1,000 buyers, but how am I substantiating that to the client without showing them all my client's details? So I think it is. You can sort of understand if they've been buying in your area by asking, well, give me the last 3 properties that you bought in that area. And I want to preface that by saying, like, we don't take on competing briefs. So we will often not have a concentrated amount of people in one area over a 6-month period.
Exactly.
So you shouldn't be seeing more than 5 on that list, in my opinion. And they
in
should
any
be,
given area.
Yeah, and they should be at different price brackets, and there should be a little bit of variance. But I think that is good. Even if you want to, look up the property address, see the agent that sold it, and even call them. How is that advocate, would you recommend them?
Yeah.
And be careful with that to a certain degree because maybe they felt like the advocate won the negotiations or something.
But even then, I think that the selling agent, anyone I know,
No,
would
I
always
agree.
say, yeah, they did a good job.
Yeah.
They got a good price for their client. They crunched me.
Yeah.
Whatever the story might have been.
Yeah.
And the key thing that you're looking out for in asking that question is, were they difficult or bad to deal with?
Yeah.
Was it negative? The positive, you're just looking for a bit of a go ahead rather than, they could say, oh, no, that was a problem. They're a problem child.
Yeah.
Like, do not deal with them, which would be unusual.
Very unusual.
But it would happen.
Like, oh, yeah. I mean, it's kind of like when people are interviewing their selling agent and they're like, oh, which one should we go with? And I was like, when they sit in front of you, of course they're saying everything you want to hear. How about you go through one of their opens, put down your name and number, but not the one that is associated to their database, so maybe your daughter's number, see how many callbacks you get.
Yeah, exactly.
Or see how you're dealt with in the property when you say you rent in the area.
When you walk through, when you arrive, are they there? Are they present? Are they ready to receive you? Do they know about the property they're selling detailed? Know about the property? Do they seem to care? Are they engaged? Or are they on their phone out the back or out the front, not even really acknowledging you when you walk in? Yeah, that I mean, that's the thing is that you get them to sit in your living room with you and you've got a $5 million property to sell. What do you think they're going to give you? Their full undivided attention. They're going to be prepped and ready. They're going to be looking perfect.
And they will be doing calls to you every week on the week and telling you recently sold properties.
Text messages, here's what we've just done. Look at this, look at this, look at that.
But be the buyer, be on the other side of the fence.
Yeah.
And ask these, like, I often will ask an agent, like, who's an advocate you admire that you would let, your mum work with? Like, I'm interested to know who's some of the best in our marketplace because we want to be the best and we do training in-house and things. But, like, those are the sort of questions you can ask local agents. Like, who would you let your mum buy for your mum? Which advocate? Which local advocate?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that question isn't on consumer affairs.
No, I was going to say.
We've really gone off script here.
But they definitely do. One of their questions is what is their policy on acting for other buyers with the same or similar search criteria as you during the period of the agency authority? And that is exactly what we were just talking about, is that we as a company don't take on competing briefs. A lot of advocates do. And you can see and understand why they would do that. We don't do that because we feel like we want to give our clients the exclusive opportunity to purchase off-market options within their area rather than it being shopped from one buyer to the next. Obviously, for us, that's obvious. It also means we have lower volume in certain areas because we can only do one at a time. But that buyer usually has a higher concentration of options because they're only looking at, what's available exclusively. So that's definitely understanding how they manage that, exactly what that looks like.
I think that's a great question. And I sometimes get asked that and I'm like, this person's good. I want to work with this person.
Yeah, they know what's up.
Yeah, they've also done their research. They are going to only work with someone that's good when they're asking those sort of questions. Like, they know what they're looking for and they want an expert.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. One of the questions here is, does your business exclusively represent buyers or do you also act for sellers, which is such an interesting one for us because obviously within prop culture we do offer vendor advocacy as a service.
And buyer advocacy.
So we do represent both in both transactions. And I think that that can seem or be confusing for people. If they just hear that sentence, it seems as though that could be a conflict. But I think once you allow people to, explain to you how they operate in that, on both sides, it's very clear. I mean, I always say to people, when we're working with sellers, we're usually helping them sell their house because they're then looking to buy with us.
Yes.
So we're working for them. They're able to work with one agent for both transactions. Yep. And when we're selling the house, we act as the vendor. We don't act as the selling agent. So we act as the vendor and we don't talk to buyers. Exactly. And we engage a selling agent on their behalf. That selling agent deals with us as the vendor. Yeah. So we're sitting in front of our vendor, acting as them, just like in the purchasing side of things, we'll sit in front of them as the buyer, acting as them. So we obviously do work on both sides of the fence, but never in one transaction.
Never in one transaction. That's a key point to that, actually.
Yeah.
But I do think, like with a lot of things that we do, like being ex-selling agents, I'm like, being a vendor advocate, like being a buyer's advocate and a vendor's advocate helps us on both sides.
100%.
Like it's actually really valuable. And it's funny because we're members of REBA, which is the Real Estate Buyers Advocate Association. I think some members have a bit of a problem with a lot of the members offering those two services. So it's completely acceptable in our industry body, but it definitely rubs a few members up the wrong way. But I just think that they're being sort of very in the box mentality. Like
I think they don't understand what vendor advocacy should entail.
That's very true.
That's what it is that they're confused and they're not 100% clear on exactly what that job is. And they're trying to be maybe the selling agent. I don't know. I don't know where they're getting confused, but the way in which we operate as vendors advocates is a complete and standalone service.
Well, I think that they think we're getting like referral, like commissions from both sides or something. But I often say, like when I'm showing clients off markets, I'm like, every off market I've shown you, has there been a different real estate face at the front door? Like I'm not just showing you through the door of one agent stock.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there would be something untoward going on there.
Although sometimes when you're doing those off-market calls and you get an agent who's got 3 options and you're like, let's have a look at them one after the other, yeah? And then you're like, he had 3.
Yeah.
They had 3.
Never happens in my patch.
I'm looking at 3 with someone this week.
No.
And 3 others with 3 others. So 4 agents in total. But one of them had 3 and I was like, geez, that was a good call. that was a thriving call. Yeah, a bit of it like ding, 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 ding.
Yeah,
and then you're like, that's what drives you to keep making the freaking calls.
That one yes out of 100 no's, 99 no's.
And you're looking them up and you're like, God, these are all right. And what's the price? Shit, they're all priced well, like, oh my God.
Those sort of things really get us going. Now, yes, are they experienced in property research, price negotiations and bidding at auctions? I think that's another question they've got here. I think that does play into the question about how many buyers have they successfully helped to buy property, but also just with the price negotiation part of that question, it is one of the most critical parts of what I think our job entails. And I definitely think that why we do what we do so well is our selling agent experience. There is so much sales training that we did over the years of being selling agents that help us hear so much. Yeah. So much. And I do think strangely, like just negotiations in general, I do think women do it very well because you can sort of, I think, read the play a bit better, zoom out a little bit better. Like I used to say to a colleague of mine, like, stop getting stuck into the like grinding, or I don't know how to explain like the negotiation minutia, like zoom out a little bit and like, okay, what are we trying to achieve here? And just, communication with people and working with people and understanding we're all here to get the same outcome, which is a win for both clients. Yeah. So how can we make that happen? But and property research, I think asking them what tools they use to do that research. Like, do they have the Cotality subscriptions?
What subscriptions are they working with? But even just on the negotiation thing or the agent training or sales training that we have done historically, I think that is one part of it. But I think that the other massive side to our history in the industry is our work with vendors direct. So the agent is saying whatever they're saying. Sometimes I am listening with a smile on my face, and what I'm really thinking about is, where is the vendor? What is the vendor thinking? Where are they at? What do they need? What's going to speak loudly to them? Because that is who is the ultimate decision maker. And in some circumstances, particularly with a one-on-one negotiation, the agent is a message A messenger.
Yes.
So really we're dealing with the vendor, and I think our knowledge of where a vendor is sitting emotionally, and oftentimes if what they're saying is X and we know it means Y because of our history in dealing with vendors. So that is where I reckon our history as selling agents really comes into play with negotiations, because the agent is actually telling us in the way, whatever they're telling us, we're able to decipher where the vendor's at just based on all of those years of experience of working directly with a vendor.
That's true.
Yeah.
I remember so clearly a deal I did in Footscray, and the agent he sent it through like pre-market, and often, the pre-market thing is interesting because they're almost like just telling you, but they don't want to do a deal off market. They want it to go to market because it's great advertising for the agent, right? Gets their name and their name in lights and boards out on the street. And anyway, I said, put the offer to the vendor and let's start chatting, because you are assuming they don't want to sell off market. You're assuming they want the fanfare of going on market.
Yeah.
But there are so many vendors that do want the quiet, quick, off-market transaction, not stuffing around with pre-sale works, not stuffing around with hire furnitures and the stress of an auction campaign, and then maybe 90 days of a settlement. Ask a question. Put it to them, and I think we'll have an outcome here.
Exactly.
So yeah, but that is a good point.
Yeah. Another one of the questions that they've got here is talking about the network of like the network with selling agents. So do they have a large network of selling agent contacts, including in areas of interest to you? I think as we start getting down this list, we start to see that obviously you're asking questions in sort of different manners.
Yeah.
So this question is really in conjunction with, can I see the last 3 sales or 3 purchases that you've made in my area? And that is going to give you a bit of an insight into what their relationships are like with the agents in the area. And asking someone a question, they're only going to tell you what you oftentimes in a pre-sale meeting want to hear, obviously. But just asking the question around, their agent contacts and what that looks like, and do they have sometimes a ability to have exclusive access to an off-market property, and why, and where has that come from, and what's the basis of that relationship, and all of those factors.
Well, I sometimes even bring up the database we use to send out our agent communications and say, what suburb are you looking? We've got 150 on our database in that area that have sold at least 2 properties over the last 12 months in that area.
And the cut through of that though.
Yes.
So,
I don't do the open rate, but I should do because it's good.
Yeah. I mean, but even if, so let's say like we sent out one the other day and it's like I would have got 10 emails back and 4 phone calls. And it's like, that's amazing. That's a highly engaged market. Our market, meaning our real estate agents that we're working with, are highly engaged with us as advocates because they know that we are highly engaged. We are operating within the area.
And responsive. We've obviously got a number of real estate friends and they're just like these bloody advocates. They just spit out emails and then I reply to be nice and then they never hear back. And it's like, yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
So we make sure that we get back to agents and no, unfortunately not, or, on a main road, but thanks anyway.
I know, God.
We just say quiet residential street in the comms, but
I know.
Anyway,
how often you have to try and say to them oh no, this is a low quality stock.
Yeah.
This is not good and we won't buy that. But thanks anyway.
But it's funny because they send it to a lot of advocates because they will.
That's what I forget. I don't even really realise that goes on. And that meeting I had yesterday where he gave me 3 addresses.
Yeah.
And I was like, sorry, what? It was 2 separate advocates. 2 was with one and 1 was with another. All 3 of them, we would never have inspected, considered, looked at, nothing.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, what are you saying that these guys have bought this property for people? And that's where I really don't understand how they're substantiating that as being a good idea.
This is funny because there's a lot of data questions on this consumer affairs list. But I think because they just do this net catchment over, well, we're buying in Richmond. Okay, well, there's different pockets of Richmond. There's different streets in Richmond. We would never buy on this street but would buy on this street and they look pretty similar on Google Maps.
Yeah.
But you're just so I think that's how they're probably buying for interstate investors that have no idea.
Yeah.
And then they look at their Google map and see a street that they know and it looks similar and they don't think that street's that bad. So then
Yeah. Well, you can't. You wouldn't know. I mean, if you're just roaming around on Google Maps in Richmond, you would not know.
You wouldn't. Well, unless they catch a little
Baker Street.
Don't buy on Baker Street in Richmond. And then the last one, which actually I try and cover in my consults, but I just think people are glazing over by this stage.
100%. They can't hear so much of what we say.
Info word vomit. But in what way and how often will they communicate to you and provide progress updates, which I think's really important. And, you know, if people want to see it, I pull up some of our property update emails that we send out because I think it gives them a good idea of also how ruthless we are with real estate and just saying no to so many options. And it's like, yeah, there's 10 on this list this week and there's only one that's like probably even a 50-50.
Yeah.
But when we find the one that's 100, 100% we're going for it.
Yeah.
But I could probably get better at showcasing that because I think that when clients are on board, they love it. They love the level of communication and the updates and things. But, yeah, to prospects. But I think that's a great question to ask.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, even if someone was to ask us that, we would say, obviously, we come to you with because there, particularly as a search goes on and during a time period where perhaps you are considering a property and negotiating on it or planning or prepping to bid for it, the level everyone that is engaging in Advocate has generally got a job. They've got other things that they're doing in life. So I always say to people like, we come to you, we're looking on your behalf every day. We streamline the search by coming to you once a week with a written weekly updated email, and that shows you all the properties we're considered, planning to inspect or are not. And that way and we're just consistently replying to that, keeping that there so that it's easy to follow. And outside of that, I always ask them like, are you happy for us to create a WhatsApp group and communicate daily through there?
Yeah.
So any communication like back and forth, I mean, God, I'm a queen of texting. I've recently just been dealing with an agent who is a caller.
Oh.
I'm telling you 5-6 times a day phone calls.
Okay, that's too much.
Just for honestly, this, that, the other. I'm like, no, I say to him all the time, I'm like, I'm a texter. I'm a text any time of day.
Well, I just had an agent start to voice note me and I was like, mate, these don't save. So I can't remember what we last spoke about.
Texting is the cure-all. It's quick.
Exactly.
You can do it to Siri while you're driving 100%. And it's basically in writing.
Yes.
So you can follow it. You can go back to what you said. You know where it's up. Even phone calls, that's in the abyss now.
Totally.
Like, that's gone.
In the abyss.
Oh, my God.
Totally. Well, I hope this has been interesting because when I read through these questions, I was like, these are actually good. Like, I think these should be asked. So jump onto the Consumer Affairs website because I think we've really ducked and weaved around, thrown in a few of our own questions in here. And obviously don't say it's so prescriptive to the advocate you're interviewing, check out their license details and stuff on the Consumer Affairs website. But you can really get some gold nuggets in here and I think as consumers, you certainly need to be vetting your advocates and making sure they are good, they have track record, they're experienced, they're knowledgeable of the areas as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
Bye.